How are we doing? So, it's been a while since last update, but speaking of updates and stuff like that, the Whoop 4.0, now on my wrist, has had a few updates, and I just kind of wanted to talk through some of my thoughts and stuff like that of the new features, being both the stress monitor as well as the strength trainer. I think that, to an extent, it has been somewhat beneficial to my training style, even though the strength trainer hasn't necessarily been out for too long. I've had at least a few workouts with it, and it's just kind of helped me to kind of see what I like, what I don't like about it, and kind of a mixed review at best, given the strength trainer. So I've had, I think, like 6 lifts with the strength trainer, and at least 6 lifts. I think there was more, but enough for me to at least get initial impressions given the current state of where the strength trainer is. And I just have some stuff up on my monitor to kind of look at. So do I think that it kind of accurately predicts the strain of a weightlifting session if you pre-program in everything? Yeah, I think it does to an extent. There's definitely been workouts that I felt more fried in, or I felt like they taxed me a lot more than was represented in the strength trainer. But compared to what it was prior to the addition of the strength trainer, infinitely better and improved. But some of the shortcomings when it comes to it. So when you have the strength trainer running through the Whoop application, one, it requires your phone to be on you, and you have to interact with your phone. That's one of my larger digs to it. I think if you pre-program in the workout, that it would be a lot better if it kind of auto-started and auto-stopped the movements. Because right now, in between each set, you have to go in here, you have to hit like, I started this set, and then you have to go through the set, and then you should be stopping it afterwards to make sure everything's more accurately recorded. I don't necessarily like the amount of interaction that it takes in between movements and stuff like that, because if you forget to start it right before you do a set, then that kind of messes up its accuracy. If you forget to stop it after you do a set, again, you're kind of messing with the accuracy of it. So it requires you to be rather engaged in interacting with your phone or whatever else you have the Whoop application on quite a lot to actually be able to accurately record your measurements and stuff like that, to be able to calculate the strain, as well as just however much data you want to put in is however much you get out. I think that the exercise selection at this point is kind of lacking, but I don't know if it'll ever get to a point that it necessarily gets everything. Like, for example, I do more towards like powerlifting, power building, stuff like that. So stuff like Spoto press, Larson press, and stuff like that, it's just not programmed in there. So you just kind of do the closest thing where it's like bench, pause bench, and stuff like that. Which leads me into another point where it's, yes, you have the limited exercise, but also the exercise adjustment isn't necessarily there. Like, there's pause bench, which is great, and there's pause squat, which is great, but then you have movements where it's like, what if you want to do tempo bench, tempo squat, or like a 3-second pause on bench, something like that. I know I might be getting into more niche items, but ones where there's either like timing and other things associated with it. I think that it might interpret it as a harder movement or putting more strain and load on your muscles, but it's also not going to be accurate in the point that if it's expecting a pause squat, but it's seeing, like if you code in a tempo squat as a pause squat, then it's going to see you going through the movement at like the given duration, and it's going to think you're trying really like hard, or it was putting a lot of strain on your body, but it's not necessarily indicative of what the exercise is intended to do, because the overall effects of a pause squat versus a tempo squat are going to be a lot different, in my opinion. And I would like this to see the ability, if there is tempos included, apologize for that sound, but if there are tempos included, to be able to set times and other parameters like that for the lifts. Even if you could just like auto start and stop it, to where it's like, hey, just record for like the duration of the 30 seconds from after I hit start through this. That way at least I don't have to interact with my phone as much. Maybe if there was a way for it to also do timing in regards to like your rest and stuff like that, to where after it like auto start stops the movement, then it will give you a buzz after like a given restoration, or until your heart rate drops below a certain threshold to where it thinks that you're recovered enough to go into the next set, and you would properly have that rest period. I think that would be a great feature to add. Then you get into the stress monitor, and I think that it's hit or miss, and I don't think it's as accurate as it should be. So how do I quantify its accuracy? Necessarily, I don't know, but I could take my personal experience with it and compare it with that of the application, where I know how stressed I was given certain things. People are lighting fireworks out offside. That was just terrible English. Taking a look at my stress monitor, it's just had me at mostly medium stress and stuff like that. But when it comes into my experiences of the stress monitor and how I was feeling, I just got through a crunch period with mechanical engineering where we were working 10 to 14 to 16 hours a day just to get our final senior project done. And during this time, I would say that I was, rather heavily stressed. I feel like it reflected in my workouts, how I slept, how I was feeling throughout the day, my mood, just a ton of different indicators. And I think it was definitely apparent in my body and personally that I was in a higher stress situation compared to where I am naturally. So I don't know if it kind of put that as my baseline stress, and that's why my stress was only low or medium in these cases. But then there's days where it goes high stress, and I honestly didn't feel stressed throughout the day. I didn't feel like the moments it was recording as high stress were actually high stress, which leads me to kind of question the accuracy of the stress monitor. And I don't think that it kind of utilizes the metrics enough, because it just gives you a report this is how stressed you were during the day in a high stress zone. I think it would be great if it does see you sit in one of these prolonged states, if you had the option to maybe have it give you a notification or something like that, so you could kind of look to climb down out of that period or do something with it. But again, that's just me, and I feel like the stress monitor itself right now and its accuracy just isn't necessarily worth it. But given these two features of Whoop, I don't think it's too terrible. I like the direction they're going. I think that some of the software and the technology just needs to be updated. But I think it absolutely has it in it, and I'm looking to incorporate more of the Whoop data into just my abilities to function and get stuff going. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. See you in the next update. Peace out.